Your thoughts? What? What? Who? Nice.
All right!
What a start to my Friday. 9:04. That sucked. What a dud. We still got a great show for you, minus that intro. State of the Race coverage begins in just a couple of minutes of time with Trustee Craig Lombardi, who's running for Mayor for the Village of Godfrey. Then Brant Walker joins us in the 10 o'clock hour as he pursues his bid to return to the mayor's office in Alton in a couple of weeks, April the 1st, just a few days away. We'll dive right into top of the hour news now. Just a few stories for you, and some of them the big ones around the region. On March the 18th, a significant police response was prompted by a disturbance involving a large crowd and open alcohol consumption in Oakwood Estates. Alton police arrived at the scene and found multiple individuals drinking in public, leading to the arrest of Justin Glenn Colley, 25 years of age, who resisted and attempted to flee, resulting in a reckless vehicle pursuit that endangered an officer. He collided with police and parked vehicles before being apprehended. Jermaine L. Glenn, 52 years of age, was also arrested. 2 officers sustained injuries during this incident, and both suspects face multiple charges as this investigation continues. Also, in Collinsville, a man, Lane A. Wilhite, 25 years of age, is facing serious allegations following a child pornography investigation by local authorities. He was charged with 6 Class X felonies after detectives presented their findings to the Madison County State's Attorney's Office on March the 19th. The charges relate to incidents alleged to have occurred between July the 1st and August 31st, 2024, where Wilhite is accused of soliciting visual reproductions of child pornography via social media. The Collinsville Police Department led the investigation initiated by a tip through the Internet Crimes Against Children data system. The suspect remains in custody, awaiting further court proceedings, and is presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Finally, in the news today, Madison County State's Attorney Tom Hain announced that his office has filed felony charges against 27-year-old Kendall Brown of Florissant for seriously injuring police officer Josh Dallas during a vehicle pursuit on the 16th of March. Officer Dallas was attempting to deploy spike strips, when Brown's vehicle struck him, causing significant injury to his hand. Brown faces multiple charges, including aggravated battery and fleeing police, with the most serious charge carrying a potential 15-year prison sentence. Hain emphasized the need for accountability in cases involving harm to law enforcement, highlighting the dangers officers face daily. That's a look at what's happening around the Riverbend. Just a quick check at weather. It's 40 degrees today, and there is that red flag warning that's still into effect. It will run until 7 p.m. this evening. Temperatures will reach 65 degrees today and drop down to 38 overnight as we head into Saturday. Air quality today is not good for those in the sensitive category, coming in at 102, so that's ranked as unhealthy. You can stay up to date in real time all the time by going to RiverBender.com/weather, or you can just call 618-465-4545, this time powered by Bounce Back, Rehab, Recover, and Return Home. We'll take a quick break. We got to get into the show, and we'll come back with candidate for Godfrey Mayor, Craig Lombardi, right after this. But first, a look at downtown Alton and then a commercial break.
Hey, would you drop by the pharmacy? My doctor switched my cholesterol medication.
Yeah, will do, honey. I'm glad he's looking out for you.
OSF Healthcare can handle all of your family's primary care needs, including managing chronic conditions. Schedule an appointment today.
What are you doing?
We did our home insurance ourselves, but don't feel protected.
So you're building your own American Family Insurance roof line?
Yeah, life's better when you're protected under American Family's roof.
That's not how it works.
Dad, we'll go. It's gonna hit.
See, that's how it works.
For real protection, save up to 23% by bundling your home and auto with us.
With over 20 years of experience, Wilson's Tree Service has the expertise to handle all of your tree care needs. Licensed and fully insured, their team of experts are dedicated to providing reliable service. Plus, with a 24-hour emergency service line, Wilson's will always be there for you. Don't risk tackling that timber by yourself. Trust the local professionals at Wilson's Tree Service. Visit treeservicealtonil.org to get started today.
No matter the season, Play It Again Sports in Edwardsville has the gear the athletes need to get in the game. Whether you're shopping for the newest sports equipment or saving money on quality used gear, Play It Again Sports carries what you need to maximize performance to get the most out of every swing, kick, stroke, or shot. We'll even buy your used goods, paying cash on the spot. We carry all the gear for all the sports all year long. We're your hometown sporting goods store. Play It Again Sports, conveniently located at 4 Club Center Court in Edwardsville. Picture This and More has been a trusted name in the Alton community for more than 30 years, with the last 3 being right here on Broadway. We specialize in quality framing at affordable prices. We also feature works by local artists because we're proud of our community. If you have valued treasures to display and preserve, we're sure to have the perfect fit with our large selection of custom framing and display options. Whatever color, shape, or size, Picture This and More has the look you need. Stop by today and let us help you with your next project.
Village Dispensary has the best deals in Godfrey, Illinois with specials 5 days a week. Mondays, roll in the week with 20 to 30% off select pre-rolls. Tasty Tuesdays, enjoy 20 to 30% off select edibles. Waxy Wednesdays, enjoy 20 to 30% off select concentrate and vape brands. Thirsty Thursdays, sip and save with 20 to 30% off all drinks. Flower Friday, grabs like 3.5 gram flower deals starting at just $20. Village Dispensary, come meet your best buds.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
I really wanna know you. I really wanna go with you. I really wanna show you love. Take long.
Welcome back. The time is 9:12 on this 21st day of March. We are almost there. Craig Lombardi, we're almost there. The finish line's in sight.
You cannot wait till April 2nd. What are you going to talk about after that? I mean, my gosh.
I know my show's going to really start dying out on the bike.
We are trying to talk about weeds. And no, you're like, yeah, so no.
Well, and you've been, going through this and, taking every day by day and pushing through it. Are you leaving it all out on the field and ready for April 2nd?
Oh, absolutely. It's been a great experience. Something that I did not think, I did not realize that it would be this crazy, but I enjoy it. And, like I tell people, just continue to go out and vote. I hope they do vote for me. It's been a wild ride. I love it.
So, take me through. So what did you expect out of it at first? Like, what was your first kind of initial perception of what running for mayor would be like?
I don't know. You hear the terms of politics, and I've gotten to see some true colors of some people. I'm pretty. Most people that know me know I'm pretty straightforward, and I'm not really. I don't play a big game and talk craziness. But I've gotten some things said, and I just kind of push in the background, and I've learned that, and people play the political game. I just keep going forward and trying to do the best I can, and telling people, hey, this is the difference between myself and the current administration, and I have nothing against the current administration. So I love Godfrey. It's just I just don't think we have a plan going forward. So there's a difference in the two candidates.
Right.
Well, Beth, not sure really, but myself and Mike, we just have differences. So
Well, and before we dive into the mayor's race and your thoughts on the platform, let's go back to really your involvement in village politics and what led to local government for you. I mean, what really kind of got you involved?
I say it every time. He probably hates my guts, but Ben Allen is, to me, is brilliant. He has built. He's just such a great businessman, and I love the family, and I used to talk to him a lot, and I just was enamored. I was like, he was a trustee, and we started talking. He said, "Craig, you need to go to these meetings." I went for literally, I did not miss a year and a half. I loved it. I loved being involved. I'm so involved in this community as it is anyway. So like, I do 100 million things. But this was even more. So then I ran for trustee, and I love it. And I know a lot of people, and so I said, I think Godfrey needs to move in a direction to get younger families, and we don't really have a plan right now. Godfrey's great, and I'm part of that. The trustees that we are, and Ben Allen was part of that. But I said there needs to be a change to help Godfrey go forward, and so that's why I stepped in.
Really cool. And, what you learn along the way, too, because whenever you're watching and observing, and I'm sure you're having, conversations with, some of the trustees just to gain their knowledge and their insights, but when you're actually on the board, what's the difference between that? Because it seems like, when you're in that position, the whole difference is kind of the fourth wall's gone in a way, where, the public out is now, reaching out to you, you're answering to the public in this position. Was there any kind of takeaway from that for you, or was it just kind of businesses, I hate to say business as usual for you, but just kind of who you are? Or was it just kind of stepping into anything else?
Well, I try to run this as this has nothing to do with me. This is everybody in Godfrey. This is their community. They're the ones that are making the calls. The 6 trustees, in my eyes, our job is to make sure that we are the voice for Godfrey. And I've always made it a point to listen to everyone. It may not be what I agree with, and then go forward with it. So, as far as what you're saying there, it's about the people of Godfrey. I did not take a lot of money because I don't want to owe people. Right. There are people who are $50,000-$60,000. Trust me, CJ, you owe people when you are taking that money. I did not want to do that. I want to be able to say, hey, guess what? This is right for Godfrey, not for this business over here. And so, I think I'll run that like that as my mayor. So
well, and before we move on to the mayor stuff, what on the board of trustees, the village board, do you think you're most proud of? Just in your time that you've been there. Well,
I mean, here's a perfect example. If anybody would have went there, there was a Peachy paused. There was This was a huge ordeal. This was brought into the trustee meeting.
Yep.
And if anybody would have went to that meeting, so, they looked at it and they said, oh my gosh, congratulations, Mayor. The mayor didn't do that. Like, if you would have watched, it was either going to be a 3B or a 4B. Okay. 3B meaning, I'm trying to make this simple as possible. It would have been a business. Her business would have made it there. But if somebody would have complained, they would have shut it down. She said, there's absolutely no way that we're going to do that. There were 2 trustees that were pretty adamant about doing that. Nobody was going to say anything. If I would not have stepped up and said, we're going to do a 4. We need to do a 4. We need younger families. We need all this. We would have voted on it. It would have been a 3B. She would not have had a business. So as a trustee, I was very proud of getting the young business in, the Dyer family, who is going to be they're a great asset to it. That was a lot of me that put that in there. The pickleball court lights, I went out and we said, we can't get this grant. There's no grant available. No, there's not. No, there's not. I'm like, yes, there is. I know there is because I've talked to people. We found a grant for $150,000. We not only got lights, but we got $70,000 worth of equipment that the people and taxpayers of Godfrey paid $0 for.
Wow.
That was, so I'm always looking at things as a trustee, and I would do the same thing as a mayor. I have a lot of connections, and I just I'm always looking at things. So
yeah, see, and I didn't watch the trustee meeting the other night whenever that was getting proposed.
Yep.
Was that the most recent one that was going on?
It was two times ago, and it was a huge.
Yeah, no, it was a big meeting. I didn't get a chance to watch it, so I don't understand what was going on. So was it an open discussion that led to it getting brought to the floor? Like just so I can go back and understand.
It was, and honestly, I got so many calls, and I love it because that's how Godfrey should be. There were so many people from both sides calling, and I said to these people, come to the meeting and please discuss this. Mm-hmm. When I went to that meeting, I had no idea how I was going to vote. And after listening and talking to everyone in this meeting, there were 30 people who talked. I made my decision to say, this is what we need to do. We have to, I run my campaign on younger families coming here, younger families, very powerful, bringing businesses in here. Mm-hmm. And if I would have let this go, they would have been a 3B. We would not have had Peachy Paul. We would not have had this business there.
Well,
it's just a fact. I mean, I sat there and watched it. I think I portrayed myself and explained this to all the other trustees, and we voted on it, and we said yes. So that's
and see, now that's what I find fascinating too, is that, after you make the decision, what's some of the feedback that you kind of get, or that you have afterwards with the trustees after a big vote like that? Do you guys talk about it afterward? Because
absolutely, we have. I will tell you, I love Sarah Woodman's very smart. Rick Lauschke's very smart. Jeff Weber is the smartest guy. I'm telling you. But they do their things. Mike Fisher's great. Karen McAtee. But you have to do your research to be on a trustee. So people, you've had them on, Gerard and Ryan, and I'm not. Nothing against them. I don't know anything, but there's a lot of work of being a trustee.
Well, and see, that's what I was going to, and we talk about that with the Alton Alderman-matic candidates too, and even the board candidates that are running for school board, it's that learning transition too, and so how do you think that there's ever going to be a way that you can, and I hate to use the word like a transition of power, because I just don't think a month ever is enough time, and that's not something you can do here locally, but it just seems like there could be a better way of, if somebody wins, and this is their first time in office, having some type of, I don't want to say course, but at least some type of knowledge of how the procedures of the board work and all that, a little bit more in depth.
Well, so I talk about this all the time. People say, "Oh my gosh, we'd love to have you as a mayor," and what do you think about? And I go, honestly, it's hard to say now, but my vision would be probably 2 terms here. I don't want to. But as you're doing this, you should be talking to somebody and molding them and saying, "This is what we're doing going forward."
Right.
So when the time comes, you have somebody there, a couple people there, that you could say, hey, guess what? Now, I'm fortunate because I'm a trustee and I do a lot of research, so I think I know I'm ready to be the mayor.
Right.
So, but you're exactly right. I came into it. If I wouldn't have went there for a year and a half and really studied it and had great mentors, because I did pop things off of Ben Allen. He was great. And then Jeff Weber, I'm telling you, we don't always disagree. We don't always agree with stuff. He is the smartest man, and he was such a great help to me. Rick Lauschke, same thing. So
yeah, it's just one of those interesting points. Though it's just like, man, a couple of weeks to learn. Especially if you haven't gone to those meetings, for
You're
those
done.
years. With that being said, too, you mentioned the pickleball courts.
Yep.
Do you see more of that type of family, recreation going forward? Maybe not on Stamper Lane, or because I don't know how much, land's left over there, but even down the 255 court, do you see some type of family rec, expansion somewhere else, or even there?
Here's it's a much bigger picture, and I'm sure we'll talk about this here in a minute. But if you do a plan, it's like right now we don't have a plan. We don't know what we're doing going forward. What I suggest is you have to have a plan with timelines to say, what are we going to look like in a year, 5 years, 10 years, and 20 years? You have to be able to have some kind of image of what you're going to look like. Mm-hmm. And you talk to the citizens of Godfrey, but I do believe, like me personally, that we should have a sports complex in Godfrey. We talk about great parks. They're good. Trust me.
Right.
But they're not great. If you had a sports complex, what are they doing in the fall and the winter and different things like that? I got a meeting with Dr. T, Dr. Tresca from Lewis and Clark, Corey Jobe. That's kind of been pushed to the side. The mayor's talked about a gym several times. We don't need a gym. How do you get the money to do this? You have to work with your Lewis and Clarks and your Corey Jobes and all these people to try to figure it out. But if you're going to get younger families, again,
right,
you have to have something here for them.
And we'll talk.
It's not just one pickleball court.
Right. And we'll talk about the family stuff and the plan and all that here in the next break, because there's so many opportunities when it comes to, like, enclosing some type of soccer or volleyball thing for, the region, because there's not very much of that around. But going back, and the reason I brought this up is your involvement with these local sports organizations. And there's no taking away from that, too, because no matter what, I mean, you're volunteering, with the Alton Athletic Association and, various other groups, too, around town. What are some of the conversations, not even while you're running for mayor, but have you ever thought back of maybe, some of the things that you've done in, the Alton Athletic Association or some of the other groups, and you go, you know what? This is something that I want to do if I ever get an opportunity to do so. And that's why I brought up the pickleball, because it leads into sports. But is there anything kind of like that, if you're picking up what I'm saying here?
Absolutely. So, your grandfather was a huge advocate for this area. He to me was one of the biggest advocates and such a strong and powerful by running the Alton Park and Rec. He ran a great program. He actually got me at Alton High. He was a monster, and he made me get into playing college soccer just because of what he did. But I love youth. Yeah. Community active sports. It's great for kids. It's great for their mental image, everything. My kids used to play St. Louis Scott Gallagher, okay? And they played all these huge select sports over here. Godfrey and Alton needed that here. I talked to Robert Steffen, and Robert Steffen stepped up, and the Alton Irish was formed. The Bluff City Baseball was formed. Oh, wow. You need these organizations locally to do this. Saying that, we have a phenomenal parks program at Godfrey. Now, it didn't hurt that Alton was kind of messed up here, and so our numbers are great. But you have to have a strong park and rec system. So you start here, then, perfect example, I used to talk to you about your middle school program that you coached last year. Yeah. These guys are so fortunate to have you.
Skylar Funk now doing it.
Skylar Funk's doing it. If you don't have it's starting from a park and rec, then you can go to a Bluff City or an Alton Irish, and then you go to a middle school program. How do you think these other schools in these other cities are developing? You start at an early age, and if we don't do that, which I believe that we can and we will, man, Alton and Godfrey can be just such a great.
Well, you're right. And it goes beyond just having it. You have to create a community with it, too.
That's it.
You got to make the kids excited to go to these things at a young age. Otherwise, it's going to be a job, and then they're done at 12, and they're mentally clocked out and ready to move on down the road. So that's why I brought it, because it's so fascinating just to hear a little bit more about your sports background and
love it.
Some of the things that
I love sports. Your dad is one of my favorites also. So, I mean, I just think it's great for the community and great for the kids.
Now, before we take our first break here, just because you are the radio background and everything else, did you ever find yourself thinking, 20 years ago or 10 years ago that, Craig Lombardi, goes on air every, and does the sales and everything, that you'd be running in any type of form or be interested in local government?
I did.
Did you really?
And first of all, here's the funny part about this is I say this every time. We here in Alton are so fortunate to have yourself, John, who runs this, Sydney. This is a gold mine. Sorry that you're over here, but the WBG, we don't have this. Most cities do not have this. We are very fortunate, and I thank you all the time. So great for the community. So saying that, I also worked for 97.1, 101.9, which is actually the top news talk station, KMOX. I have been around political my whole my whole life. It's kind of funny because, the mayor says, hey, this guy endorses this. Well, I helped Chris Lusser, get his Amy Ellick, all these people get in there because I was, I was part of the 97.1 and the 101.9, all these political machines. So I've been around it my whole life. I've always wanted to do it. So
really interesting.
When I was just talking, it was funny because I was just talking to Tim Jones and we were talking about that. He's Speaker of the House and he's on 101.9 and Jamie Allman. They asked me the same thing. They're like, gosh, I go, I'm around it all the time. So I have been around it my whole life. I have connections more than probably most. We talk about, hey, we know this person. I know a lot of people. So I will use that when I become mayor also. So
it's interesting.
Yeah.
Really cool. And then before we take a break, to one final family, how are they doing with all this? Are they supporting you on this? The family been great through it all too? Because I always like to ask about that because it is
they
it's
hate
a team.
me. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
It's such
You're
a
right.
team
It
effort,
is.
man.
It is so different. It's different. Absolutely. They're always supportive of me. My family is great. They always support me. And
you gotten any tips yet or any criticism? Got any coaching going on over
yes,
there?
Every night I walk in, they throw stuff. No, I'm just kidding with you. Why'd you say that, Dad? What'd you do that for? That's just my whole life.
That's
so anyway,
great,
but no, I love it.
Hey, it's 9:30 on the nose. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back with trustee for the Village of Godfrey and candidate for mayor for the Village of Godfrey, Craig Lombardi, with more right after this. You stay here, we'll stay here on RiverBender.com, Roku TV.
Hey, would you drop by the pharmacy? My doctor switched my cholesterol medication.
Yeah, will do, honey. I'm glad he's looking out for you.
OSF Healthcare can handle all of your family's primary care needs, including managing chronic conditions. Schedule an appointment today.
What are you doing?
We did our home insurance ourselves, but don't feel protected.
So you're building your own American Family Insurance roof line?
Yeah, life's better when you're protected under American Family's roof.
That's not how it works.
Dad, we'll go. It's gonna hit.
See, that's how it works.
For real protection, save up to 23% by bundling your home and auto with us.
With over 20 years of experience, Wilson's Tree Service has the expertise to handle all of your tree care needs. Licensed and fully insured, their team of experts are dedicated to providing reliable service. Plus, with a 24-hour emergency service line, Wilson's will always be there for you. Don't risk tackling that timber by yourself. Trust the local professionals at Wilson's Tree Service. Visit treeservicealtonil.org to get started today.
No matter the season, Play It Again Sports in Edwardsville has the gear the athletes need to get in the game. Whether you're shopping for the newest sports equipment or saving money on quality used gear, Play It Again Sports carries what you need to maximize performance to get the most out of every swing, kick, stroke, or shot. We'll even buy your used goods, paying cash on the spot. We carry all the gear for all the sports all year long. We're your hometown sporting goods store. Play It Again Sports, conveniently located at 4 Club Center Court in Edwardsville. Picture This and More has been a trusted name in the Alton community for more than 30 years, with the last 3 being right here on Broadway. We specialize in quality framing at affordable prices. We also feature works by local artists because we're proud of our community. If you have valued treasures to display and preserve, we're sure to have the perfect fit with our large selection of custom framing and display options. Whatever color, shape, or size, Picture This and More has the look you need. Stop by today and let us help you with your next project.
Village Dispensary has the best deals in Godfrey, Illinois with specials 5 days a week. Mondays roll in the week with 20 to 30% off select pre-rolls. Tasty Tuesdays, enjoy 20 to 30% off select edibles. Waxy Wednesdays, enjoy 20 to 30% off select concentrate and vape brands. Thirsty Thursdays, sip and save with 20 to 30% off all drinks. Flower Friday, grab like 3.5 gram flower deals starting at just $20. Village Dispensary, come meet your best buds.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
Welcome back, 9:32, a little bit of change on this Friday morning. Back with Craig Lombardi, candidate for mayor, Village of Godfrey. You know, getting back into some of the local stuff that's going on and just some of the more current things. What's it like running for office, and then also, I mean, because you're running for a different seat, but you're still a trustee, and that job comes first. So with what's going on right now, how do you balance it?
Well, when I was a trustee, I run unopposed the first time, so I really didn't have to do much, which was kind of crazy. I love this. I love the aspect of talking to people, getting to know. I mean, I have literally knocked on doors and doors and doors and doors and went to events and talked to people. It's just great to get to know them and to try to figure out. And, they all have opinions. Everybody has an opinion. So I love it. I mean, that's what I've done. It's my job in media. I talk to people and business owners every day of my life. So yeah, it's definitely been interesting.
Well, and whenever you have all the village business going on too, do you find it ever difficult to like manage because you got to do like peachy paws and all that, and you still have your trustee meetings. Yep. Do you have like a way just to balance, or do you just kind of take it as it comes with the day?
Well, it's kind of funny because most people who know me literally know how I am. I'm crazy. Like literally, I mean, I'm going to announce all the Alton High baseball games. Yeah. I will announce tonight.
Oh, are
3
you?
games. I'm at every concession stand. It's just in my DNA to do this. My job, I'm always working. I've been the top rep for 25 years, or one, if not the top rep. And people ask me, how do you, oh my gosh, how do you do? And I go, I don't really go to sleep until I have everything done, because the next day there's going to be something shifted. So, being a trustee, I answer every phone call, every email. I go to talk to people. It is what it is. It's part of my DNA. I enjoy it. So
really, and right now too, is there anything that's we already hit on peachy paws, and but the roundabouts coming in, coming in soon. What are your people's thoughts on the roundabout? Has that become a campaign issue? Because I mean, it's coming no matter what, so it's not even an issue.
So
it's just the thought.
My answer to that is, it's coming no matter what.
Okay.
I don't want to give an opinion either way. I will say this: when I become mayor, I will do the best job to make it accessible and in the easiest way possible for everybody to get around. I mean, I live there. Everybody lives there. The only thing I will say to your comment is, when there are issues like this coming forward, I will make sure that I talk to the people of Godfrey and make sure that I'm doing the best for what they need. So it's communication. So I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
You kind of take it from there. But you need to be talking to the people of Godfrey. They're the most important. Godfrey's about them. So.
Interesting. Well, and now, too, with Godfrey, it's so fascinating because you guys have this geography where you're going. You have a lot of rural area. You got some suburban stuff. You got some really tight neighborhoods, and then you got commercial. So whenever you're looking at this, when you're talking about this, what are your thoughts just about? I mean, the elephant in the room is the comprehensive plan. Is what kind of the bingo card is. What are your thoughts on just the plan going forward?
I love that. So. People get confused. They say, comprehensive plan. They bring, anyways.
It's been driving me crazy.
Well, people misunderstood everything. We have a comprehensive plan.
Right.
Right now, we have a comprehensive plan. The problem and the difference between myself and the current administration is they don't act. They don't have a timeline. They don't know what we're going to look like in the future. So when I talk about a comprehensive plan, my idea is this. You have to figure out what you're going to try to look like in a year, 5 years, 10 years, and 20 years, so you can have selective growth, okay? And what I mean by that is you control the narrative in this. We don't even know where our corridor is. Go ask the mayor right now, where's our corridor? We don't know where it's at. How do we not know? And if we don't know what it is, how do you expect a business to come in here, a retail? How do you expect a home builder to come in here if we don't know? So what you need to do, CJ, is you get a professional comprehensive plan. So when people hear that, they're like it's comprehensive plan. That's just a piece of it. But you need to get a professional company to come in here. Then you need to get your business leaders. We have some of the greatest business leaders. You talk to a Ben Allen, you talk to a Jeff Weber, you talk to a Corey Jobe, you talk to a Dr. Tresca, John Keller. Then you talk to the trustees, along with the most important piece of this is the people of Godfrey. So when you get all of these together, this comprehensive, the people of Godfrey, you get this picture of what we're going to look like in a year, 5 years, 10 years, and 20 years. Most important part of this is you have to follow through with it.
Right. Well, and see, that's the big thing is what's the check and balance has been because I've asked everybody.
We don't have one. Well, that's the problem.
Well, and it is. And so that's what, I've asked trustee candidates this and mayoral candidate. What would you do to ensure the check and balance? Because it does, this is a project that costs money to do. And, so.
You should be having meetings with your economic developer at least once a month, if not more. We canceled 6 out of 12 last year, 6 of our meetings. You should have, that is the most important thing to me. You might even have 2. These are very important things. So when you have these conversations, you have to probably, I know you're going to have somebody there to checks and balance. You're going to have to say, here's the deal. It's 3 months. Where are we at? What are we looking at? We don't do that. Those are things that are super important to what we're going to look like in the future. And I keep saying selective growth. If you do not, what I mean by that, sorry.
I get what you're saying on that. And that's what I wanted to ask you too, because that's the follow-up is when it comes to selective growth, is it going to be, because you brought up the Godfrey residents and what they would like, and it's all kind of mixed in with this, plan and developing this whole idea. What is it going to be the guidelines for that selective growth? Is it going to be based on what the voters want, what the taxpayer wants?
Yeah, it's what you're going to come up with, this plan and this vision.
I
say, hey, I want to look. In order to get younger families in here, you're going to have to give them something that they can have, and so. I don't know if this is the case. These are just visions that I have, but I will tell you, to me, you should be looking at a sports complex. That's going to get younger families here. What about maybe even a little amphitheater or some kind of music? What about your food trucks or little? Oh my gosh, what do they have in Alton? Every Saturday morning, the flea market.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, I'm not saying that's the answer, but you have to be talking about these things, CJ. And how do we bring this? And again, the most important part about it is we have an older demographic in Godfrey too.
True.
Listen, my mother and Dr. Brown, he passed, but they know everyone. That's my family. I know every one of these people. They need to be taken care of also. True. I understand that. But you also, if you're not growing and having this growth, you're never going to get these kids, and you're going to stay here. I love Godfrey. Don't get me wrong. We've done a great job. So Mayor talks about no taxes and parks. I'm part of that. Rick Lashke, all the trustees, everybody's part of that. But how are we going to move forward is the key to everything. And I do believe that I have a great vision for that. And you talk to the people of Godfrey and they tell you, so instead of maybe 10 restaurants, we want 3. And then we come to Bella Milano and we say, we're only going to have 3. Would you like to be part of this? And this is how we're going to look like. Right. If we don't, you're going to continue to get Dollar Trees across from Walmart, which is one of your primo lands. I'm just saying.
Well, you're not wrong, and that's what I was leading into as well, because you brought up the restaurant discussion. Because there is that notion of how many Buffalo Wild Wings is too many Buffalo Wild Wings. But when it comes to the other side of business too, you got this evolution now where really tech companies can go anywhere they wanted to, and if you wanted to have an incubator system or some type of AI network or you name it now, really any land, you just need some land to do it on. And so I didn't know if that was one of those things where the selective growth is targeting certain sectors of the economy and just making sure that fits your vision.
That's why I think that's where the professional comprehensive plan is. You have to figure out where a corridor is. Yeah. To me personally, I would love to have a little downtown. What happened to the crosstown roads? we were talking 17 years ago. That was a huge ordeal. Why did we drop that? So these are conversations of, Godfrey could be the most phenomenal things. You're 15 minutes from beautiful Grafton, 10 minutes from beautiful downtown Alton. You are 10 minutes from 255. This is a gold mine here. You have to control how much that you put in here, but you also can do that. And then you control the whole narrative, and again, that's what I talk about.
Yeah, no, very interesting. And then going into this this rec center, recplex idea that's been discussed a couple of times now. What do you? Because you mentioned an indoor or a complex of sorts, and maybe not a gym. What would it look like for you after if you really had that conversation? I know you have to talk with people, but if you could envision it yourself, what would it be if you could paint it right now?
Honestly, I think you have a. I always say you do things correctly the first time that you do it, and then you don't have to worry about it. So you don't want to piecemeal this together and you get a one basketball court gym. No. You probably, if I picture this, I'm looking at like maybe a nice 4-court, nice basketball that can be used for pickleball, maybe even a walking track of something of nature. We have great fitness clubs around the area. So I don't know if you necessarily need that. Don't know. But those are little things. Then you find the location. I look at it and I go, man, right next to Lewis and Clark, they have the, Lewis and Clark baseball. You work with them and possibly use that area. Then you've got your whole park to do whatever you want. You need a great location for that. And, I think you do this correctly, and you could the taxpayers would not have to pay for this, and it would be great it'd just be great for the city in general.
Well, and that's what I was curious about, because you brought up sports tourism and all that, and the big thing is, this sports barn in Wood River is doing some pretty good things. You drive by that sucker, it's full of baseball and softball all the time, and because you're right, our park's empty for 6 months in the wintertime because no sports team can go out there, and that's where this thought is. You have all this land. Is it worth doing or looking into an indoor turf facility for a multi-sport use?
It is, in my opinion, for sure worth looking into. We talk about it and then we just kind of push it into the top drawer over there. So you can't do that. You need to be progressing forward. And I do believe Corey Jobe is a great asset to Godfrey. You need to be talking to him. You need to be talking to Dr. Truska. You need to be talking to John Keller and all these people who are great for the community. Possibly, and I don't know, because I don't want to throw this name out there, but as you're doing these different things and you're working with Lewis and Clark and all these different things, you hopefully have conversations with John Simmons, and you just start talking to people, because Godfrey needs these things, and it's little things.
Yeah, it's just something to bring up, because it goes right into that line of what this recplex conversation could look like or might evolve into. Who knows?
Yep.
Dog park's getting built here.
Yep.
And there's some other projects that are kind of getting started and completed. What are your thoughts on the Woodman trip? Because that's just things that are happening right now throughout Godfrey. What are some of the things that you're more excited about just seeing develop? Because you've been on the trustee board, you're a part of the team as well.
I think the bike trail is great. I think it. I love health, anything active, and I think that's going to bring in. That will help youth, but that's where you can't just stop there.
Right.
The dog park. Here's a perfect example of this. People, they were asking for it, so the trustees, and I am on the Park and Rec board.
Oh, are you on? I didn't know you were on the board.
I'm on the Park and Rec board,
That's
and
cool.
We've been talking about this for a year now. How are we going to get a dog park and blah, blah, blah. I was one kind of help to say, hey, guess what? This would be a pretty good idea for people. We're going to see how it shapes out, because that's a different beast in itself. But you need to continue to go forward. And, I do believe that a sports complex is going to be great, but the dog park, I think it's good. You just got to continue to go forward. Let's put it that way.
And that's what I was just asking, because there's just some of the developments that are going around town. And then one of the other things that I was going to ask you about too is this speeding situation, because there's a lot of people that have been kind of weighing in on social media and just, kind of venting their frustrations of what they're saying is, some pretty erratic driving going down, West Delmar, going into Jerseyville and going through residential areas. And I know that you guys put the speed limit signs up in the barriers and all that, but do you see more of a way to, I mean, because you're working with Madison County, but is there a way to work more closely with law enforcement partners to make sure that those individuals that do feel like, driving's getting a little bit erratic around the community, it's getting heard?
I'm always an advocate for less speeding and safety. Honestly, if you go down by Walmart and Pierce Lane, that to me is the most hazardous thing. I don't think people understand that has nothing to do with Godfrey. That's Madison County
right.
that does that. I always will for sure look at safety. We just Kevin Gross, he was talking about the new bike trail and the safety back there. That to me is super important to make sure that the families, the kids, and the people who are driving around there, I will go back there. I will continue to go back there until we got safe on that. So I will for sure work with the trustees and the Madison County. I love Madison County, by the way. I think they do a great job
absolutely.
for us.
Yeah, so, they do a great job.
You just have those conversations, but safety is huge for me.
And that's just what it was, because that's the big thing. You guys really do have a good working relationship as a village with the county and doing those things.
Absolutely.
Interesting. Well, and going forward, where do you see Godfrey going in terms of development and housing? Is it more neighborhoods? Is it more just one-time houses that are being built by families? What do you envision going forward in your mind? Just
so I will answer that two ways. Under our current administration, I don't really see it going anywhere. I just don't think we have a plan. I don't really know if we even know what which way we're going to be. If I'm elected as mayor, I would definitely look at the crosstown roads.
What is that? Just because I'm not familiar.
That's if you come up Clifton Terrace, okay, and you come to the top there's a stop sign, and you look out. There is acres and acres and acres. So at one time they were talking about taking that and going all the way around to Lars Hoffman and that connecting, okay? So you're connecting this. I don't know if that's the answer, but I would certainly look at that. And you talk to the home builders, and again, it all starts with everything I talked about before. You should have a professional, comprehensive plan. Talking with the citizens of Godfrey, it really all comes into to one full circle. But I do see us having more subdivisions. And what they look like, not sure. That's for everybody to try to figure that out. So
before we take our next break, what's been the biggest conversation that you've had or the most frequent conversation you've had with knocking doors? Has it been about safety? Has it been about roads? Has it been about what's been on the top of the folks' minds?
What are we going to look like? What will we look like, Craig? We don't really know. And I answer the same thing every time. I agree with you. I also hear, when people do say, we're happy how we are. And I agree with them. Like, I'm happy right now. But I have a 25, 23-year-old, and 18-year-old kid who probably are not going to live here. There's nothing for them going forward. If you have a sports complex and you have some retail and you have some businesses that are conducive to younger families and jobs for younger families, why would you not want to be here? Because you're right next to everything. I just told you, you can go to Grafton, you can go to Alton downtown, you can go to 255. younger families would be there. So
interesting. Well, and that's a great pausing point right now, and we'll take our final break, and we'll come back with more of this conversation. State of the Race coverage 2025 with Trustee Craig Lombardi and candidate for Godfrey Mayor. More after this.
Oh no, another bad headache? Yeah. Maybe it's time to see your doctor.
OSF Healthcare can handle all of your family's primary care needs, including diagnosing health issues or referring you to a specialist. Schedule an appointment today.
No matter the season, Play It Again Sports in Edwardsville has the gear the athletes need to get in the game. Whether you're shopping for the newest sports equipment or saving money on quality used gear, Play It Again Sports carries what you need to maximize performance to get the most out of every swing, kick, stroke, or shot. We'll even buy your used goods, paying cash on the spot. We carry all the gear for all the sports all year long. We're your hometown sporting goods store. Play It Again Sports, conveniently located at 4 Club Center Court in Edwardsville.
Yo, what up? It's Mike Keith, the proud graduate of Lewis and Clark Community College. I got my start in broadcasting and now I work all over the country. I discovered my path in media, but I could have been an electrician. Or I could have been a nurse.
Maybe not.
Get paid to go solar. We're not solar bros. At Grid, we're solar pros. We explain the process behind solar power so you can make an informed decision. We'll work with you to make owning your power as simple as possible and affordable with zero down financing and payment options. Our only goal is to save you money. Call Grid when you're ready to be independent of the power company.
Looking for the best barbecue in Madison County? Head over to Carver's Barbecue in Godfrey, Illinois. From loaded barbecue nachos to mouth-watering pulled pork, brisket, ribs, and more, Carver's serves up award-winning flavors you'll love. Family-owned, Carver's is all about fresh, made in-house dishes served daily. Come visit us at 2716 Groveland in Godfrey, or give us a call at 618-467-9999. Order online, get it catered, or stop by for the best smoked meats around. Where great flavors meet family tradition, you'll find Carver's Barbecue.
Since 1993, Sparks Junk Removal is always adapting to the needs of our clients. That is why we now offer weekly trash pickup for selected areas. Plus, we offer driveway-safe rubber-tired dumpster rental. Give us a call today at 618-781-1407 or visit us at sparksjunkremoval.net.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
Arms around me, baby. Put your arms around me, baby.
The time is 9:55 on this Friday morning, 21st day of March, back with the trustee for the Village of Godfrey and candidate for the mayor's seat in the Village of Godfrey. We're a couple of weeks away. Do you have your election night party planned?
I do not. I guess I need
What are you doing?
I need to do that. So you just asked a question earlier. What do I trying to learn that? Like I've gotten asked for this. My buddies who own 101.9 News Talk, they're great people. It's actually the top conservative station out there, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing for?" And I'm like, "I don't know." So I guess I'll sit at my house and say congratulations, or. It's the funny part about it is April 1st, and it's my son's birthday. So I told him, you're either going to have a good birthday or a bad birthday.
Oh,
so,
God.
No, it's going to be good either way. Trust me. Either way,
that would be awesome.
So.
But oh man, I hope with it being a birthday, that's kind of a bad day for an election. Regardless.
And it's April Fool's. Yeah, it's the worst of all.
It's kind of ironic that it's April Fool's Day.
Yes, it is.
But it's it's at least you got your plans made up.
Yeah.
So no party in the future, no election party. You don't think you're going to merge the two?
I guess I'm late to the thing. I probably will be looking at this week.
You got to look at it, Chris.
I know.
Come on now. So with that being said, you have some folks that have been supporting you along the way, and
yes.
What's it mean to you, to kind of look back now? I mean, it's a long journey to get to this point. To know that you had a lot of people that were really coming out for you and supporting you along the way.
It means everything. I'll never mention names. Because I know how this town works and different things of this nature. I've been here my whole life, so I get it. But it's great to see just people supporting you, people trying to help you out. Those are great things. I've also got to see the other side of it, which is kind of crazy. But I will tell you, everybody that has helped me out, I cannot thank you enough. I mean, it takes an army to do this. I will just tell you that.
Well, and with that being said too, it takes an army to raise a village up and keep moving it forward, because you look around, and this isn't a slight in any town or any community around here. It's just you take a look, like in other races, and not just mayor seats, but hell, even the Collinsville Library Board's getting a little bit contested. And it's then you look back at Godfrey, where some things have kind of gotten a little bit tense at times, but it seems like really everyone's trying their best just to plead their case in a lot of the ways. And it just, to me, it's a good testament to how you guys are really trying what's best for everybody.
We try to do that. I try to do that. There's been some things that have been done to me, which is out of my control. But again, the only thing that you can do, and it's the same thing of what you're doing as a mayor is, when I get in there, you have to do what's right for Godfrey, and you have to be able to talk and put things down. You can't just say, hey, I'm not going to talk to this trustee because I'm the mayor, right, and I'm mad at you. So little things like that, you have to be able to work with your trustees. I'm pretty sure, I know for a fact that I'll be able to work with all the trustees. That's very important. And I'll listen to the people of Godfrey. That's really who you're working for. It doesn't matter what I want. So
and that's interesting too. And what do you so let's say everything goes right for you on April 1st, you win, and then in a month's time you're the mayor of Godfrey. Mm-hmm. What's day one look like for Craig Lombardi? Have you even gotten that far yet?
Absolutely. You have to understand me. I have a plan for everything, and there's a reason I've been very successful at everything I do. I plan out. I have 20 shirts ironed at any time because I don't know what's going to happen. That's just me. Yeah, my first day, absolutely. I want to sit down with every individual at the village of Godfrey and talk to them and find out what they're doing, what are they planning on doing going forward, and how this, I want to know everything about that, and talk to, I will also talk to people who have done this in the past. It's not about me, and I'm not like my way is a highway. It's not. I want to learn from all the people in the past, what they have done, what's been successful and what's not. So yeah, I can't wait to talk to I know a lot of them, mm-hmm, but I want to know more. I think Rich Barron is phenomenal. I can't wait to talk to him, be perfectly honest with you, because I want to know what Tony Kane, tell me more. So little things like that are going to be great conversations for me.
Well, and see, that's just what I find fascinating too, because Godfrey's in an interesting place because you have a chance to grow. I mean, everyone's on the same page when it comes to grow. It's just what's it look like and what's the plan, and X, Y, and Z, and whatever you want to throw out there on the bingo card. Whenever it comes to the opportunity to work with other communities, and I'm not saying that you got to partner up and create some metroplex and have like this 1950s New World, metropolis town, but is there any vision for you to connect with the Grafton more, to connect to a Jerseyville?
So that is the greatest point. I've said this many times. I don't think we do that enough or at all. I don't know, but I think it is the most important to be talking. Whoever's the next mayor of Alton, I better be having conversations with them, because Alton and Godfrey are right here. Do not misunderstand when I say we need to be talking. Alton and Godfrey are completely two different beasts. So Godfrey will have its own. So don't get freaked out and say, oh my gosh, we're going to be just like Alton. Not at all. But if you're not having conversations with that, or Grafton, or Jerseyville, or Wood River, what are you doing? Like, these are your surrounding communities, and you need to feed off that as well as they need to feed off what you're looking to do. Because use as an example. If they're Alton's looking for a Chick-fil-A and we're looking for a Chick-fil-A, And that's what the citizens want. I'm fighting for that. I'm just using an example, but you should be having conversations with Alton.
Right.
Tremendously. So, yeah.
I get what you're saying, though, because there's certain things that you can work together on and certain things that you got to be competitive friends to. And no matter if it's an Alton or a Woodruff or you name it going forward. When it comes to just, because we have about 10 minutes left here, when it comes to just the local education that's provided in Godfrey, because, Lewis and Clark's, obviously one of the biggest community college and one of the nicest in the area, no matter what people think about it when they see their tax bill, and you got various high schools. What can you do, as Mayor, to create, is there any programs that you would create for like trades, or, where it comes to the cities involved, the villages involvement, not what you can force school districts to, because that's totally different. But when it comes to just, the village, what they can do in some type of, mentorship programs or some type of, any type of service that you could provide from that front.
That is a phenomenal question. I love our school district. My wife has worked there 32 years. She knows everybody. Elaine Kane is phenomenal to me. Christy Baumgartner, who was there before, Wendy Adams. These are, I know these people tremendously. I know the ins and outs. I am a huge advocate of our school district here. We're spoiled because we don't really understand it, but we have things that you cannot get elsewhere. I'm also, I hate to say it, but it's in Alton, but Marquette we have a great Catholic school there. We have evangelical.
Residents go to Marquette.
So you're talking to these schools, but I don't have anything in particular just yet, but I will tell you, I will have conversations with Elaine Kane and Dr. Adams and I will probably have it with Christy too, because, she was a huge part of this. And we will talk about different things. And is there something that's going to make sense for somebody in Godfrey that we can do education wise? And I have a great relationship with Dr. Tereska. So do we have a conversation with Lewis and Clark? We're also spoiled. That to me is one of the nicest, if not the nicest community colleges around. Why are we not using that more? So education is a huge thing for me, and I do believe I have the relationships to have these conversations and move forward.
We have about 5 minutes left, but I want to go back to your idea of this downtown, because I find this fascinating. Because now that I'm listening to your, your crosstown roads thing, and it makes sense to have, if your vision was to fall perfectly aligned and the sky's cleared tomorrow, to look at this downtown, what would a downtown Godfrey look like? And that's, it's one to ponder, because, here's
the thing. So it's finding a corridor that you do this in. I know White Birch is in Alton, but like you have these beautiful small businesses, and you make them. And Delmar House, I don't know where it's going to be, but that's where you come up with an idea and make this. You have some cool little coffee shops. You have some cool little White Birches, around here where people can walk up and down, and guess what? They can go shopping for a day. I'm not talking about big elaborate miles and miles, but you could have a cool little downtown corridor. How does that look and picture? I've pictured it many times. But without somebody professionally coming in and saying, this is a realistic way of doing this, Craig, then I can't. But I do think it would be I know it would be really nice to have a downtown.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, it's just a thought, because you brought and it's just a fascinating topic, really. And before I let you go, and we give you your closing thoughts here. What are you going to do to ensure that, because the tax rate is low, you guys you should be proud of that. What can you do to ensure that kind of stays the way it is and stays as low as it has been?
Well, I have been part of that for the last 2 years. We voted to keep the taxes down. I think people don't understand, with COVID and stuff, we did get a lot of grants. to help us out with those. Okay, so that was great. I do know, though, again, that's finding out who's doing it. I know Rich does very well at grants. I will probably have conversations with the Christy Baumgartner and looking at, you have to be looking at grants to keep everything and different things of keeping the taxes down. The key here, though, is if you incentivize businesses and home builders to come in here and you give them little tax breaks, you take a little bit of this money to give them tax breaks. When they come here, now they're paying extra taxes. You put that right back in there, plus the extra. That's how you keep taxes down. It's a easy concept. It's a super easy concept. So you have to incentivize, and we have the money to incentivize. You keep 80% of that. You don't touch that. And then you take those taxes and it makes extra taxes. So anyways.
Interesting. Well, and just one of those things that, one of the other talked about topics in the village race, it seems like, too, every once in a while. Before I let you go, I am going to I'm making a proposal. If I ever run for mayor in 20 years in Alton, I'm going to make it Alton Road. I think I'm just going to start declaring things. Just so you know, in case you're still there.
Alton Road?
Yeah, Alton Road.
Or CJ Road?
No. Alton Road. It's ours now. With that being said, before I let you go, what's your final thought to the voters, your friends, and anybody that's maybe still on the fence for Craig Lombardi on April 1st?
I want to say thank you again for having me on. I want to thank everybody that has went out and voted, no matter what it is. I hope that everybody has done their research, because there is a difference between myself and the current administration. I do think, I know that if you do elect me, Godfrey will have a great future going forward. I will work tremendously hard. Everybody who knows me knows I have the work ethic, and I have what is the best interest for Godfrey. And like I said, I can't thank you enough, the people who have helped me and the people who have went out and just voted in general. And I hope on April 2nd that I am the mayor of Godfrey, and thank you very much. That's all I can say.
Absolutely. Craig Lombardi, thank you so much for your
Thanks,
time,
CJ,
and best of
always.
luck April 1st.
Appreciate you.
We'll take a quick break here. State of the Race coverage continues right after this with former mayor and candidate for mayor again, Brant Walker. He's outside in the green room, we'll call it.
Yes.
He'll come back right in the studio after this.
Oh no, another bad headache? Yeah. Maybe it's time to see your doctor.
OSF Healthcare can handle all of your family's primary care needs, including diagnosing health issues or referring you to a specialist. Schedule an appointment today.
No matter the season, Play It Again Sports in Edwardsville has the gear the athletes need to get in the game. Whether you're shopping for the newest sports equipment or saving money on quality used gear, Play It Again Sports carries what you need to maximize performance to get the most out of every swing, kick, stroke, or shot. We'll even buy your used goods, paying cash on the spot. We carry all the gear for all the sports all year long. We're your hometown sporting goods store. Play It Again Sports, conveniently located at 4 Club Center Court in Edwardsville.
Yo, what up? It's Mike Keith, the proud graduate of Lewis and Clark Community College. I got my start in broadcasting and now I work all over the country. I discovered my path in media, but I could have been an electrician. Or I could have been a nurse.
Maybe not.
Get paid to go solar. We're not solar bros. At Grid, we're solar pros. We explain the process behind solar power so you can make an informed decision. We'll work with you to make owning your power as simple as possible and affordable with zero down financing and payment options. Our only goal is to save you money. Call Grid when you're ready to be independent of the power company.
Looking for the best barbecue in Madison County? Head over to Carver's Barbecue in Godfrey, Illinois. From loaded barbecue nachos to mouth-watering pulled pork, brisket, ribs, and more, Carver's serves up award-winning flavors you'll love. Family-owned, Carver's is all about fresh-made in-house dishes served daily. Come visit us at 2716 Groveland in Godfrey, or give us a call at 718-467-9999. Order online, get it catered, or stop by for the best smoked meats around. Where great flavors meet family tradition, you'll find Carver's Barbecue.
Since 1993, Sparks Junk Removal is always adapting to the needs of our clients. That is why we now offer weekly trash pickup for selected areas. Plus, we offer driveway-safe rubber-tired dumpster rental. Give us a call today at 618-781-1407 or visit us at sparksjunkremoval.net.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
State of the Race coverage continues 10:13 on this Friday morning, the 21st day of March. Former Mayor of Alton and candidate for mayor again, Brant Walker in the studio. How are you doing?
Good morning, CJ. Thanks for having me this morning.
Last July you were on when you were announcing your candidacy to return, hopefully, to City Hall.
Correct.
And, in that last couple of months, how are things going? What have the conversations been like, and are you feeling pretty good in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, you never want to get too confident because it's a race and we still have 2 weeks to go, so we're going to be pushing hard. We're out every weekend walking with a group of citizens, which is terrific. But right now it feels like we're definitely in the fight for sure.
Was there ever an idea of not doing this again and just saying, you know what, my 2 terms were up, it's time to move on down the road? Or what was really that final push that said, I'm going to go ahead and throw my hat back in here?
Yeah, when I got out of it, went back into the business again, and it's gone well. It's gone so well, we purchased another building to put a house back here in Alton.
Wow.
And move there as a permanent location for us. So normally, we've been working off-site quite a bit, but we have enough now that we can and we found another home. So things were going along great. To be frank with you, it's been the 4 shootings in front of my house. And when I say in front of my house, literally in my driveway, in my yard, up the street last year during sewer separation. I believe there were 13 or 17 rounds dropped on State Street. Mm-hmm. No one was hit, but Kamodowski's truck, I think, got killed.
I remember, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of bullets. And then someone drug a dog out in the street and shot the dog.
Oh.
Yeah, 2 houses up. They're no longer living in that house, thank goodness.
Well, and see, whenever, you're deciding enough's enough, 4 shootings, and I'm going to do this. Let's talk back to the first time you run, because you won 2013 is your first time as a write-in. You win the election, but you also ran in 2009, correct?
Yes.
And what led to you getting involved in local government?
Well, it's from actually being a business owner here. I've had an employment agency here since about 1999, 98. Mm-hmm. And then I own 8 properties in the city. 2 of them now are commercial. The rest are residential, and it's just been the general decline. My daughter was born and raised here, graduated from Marquette High School here, and actually chose to buy a home here in the Christian Hill area. So it was those type of things with, wanting families to live here, general decline in economic development, and kind of just the crime issues that were going on in the city and being heavily invested here.
Well, and take me through that first time you're running. I mean, obviously 2009 is almost 20 years ago. What was the first run looking like for you? And because this is, we're in a technological age. This is almost still, old school territory in 09.
Yeah, 09, yeah. I think we still had dial-up service back then. So, yeah, I kind of came in late, and I think we did okay for what we spent. I think I'd have to look, but I think our grand budget was like a few thousand, maybe. And I can't remember. We didn't lose by that much, but we had a really good ground game, which is terribly important. One of the things I've noticed that's changed since that first election and now, people are more reluctant to come to the door.
We've been hearing that so many times on this show from candidates that no one's answering the door anymore.
They don't answer the door. Now, when they're out going to the car, walking the dog, jogging, it's terrific. Mm-hmm. But getting people to come to the door now is it just doesn't happen very often.
Well, I ask everyone, so I'll ask you this. Do you equate that to their, ease, I guess, lack of ease or ease in general of just their neighborhood, or is that just like the post-COVID kind of mindset anymore? Just your thoughts, because I ask everyone that question.
It could be an ease of answering door to a stranger. I think technology's also helped. Mm-hmm. I would say probably 80% or a high percentage of the doors that we do knock on now all have Ring cameras, so they have instant who's at the front door without having to get up and look at the front door. And then some of the bells, you'll ring them, you can actually leave a message. So I think it could be a combination of not wanting to answer the door for whatever reason, unease of answering the door, and technology's made it easier not to answer the door.
Well, and before we talk about the run as a write-in, you were running, you got kicked off the ballot. That was, I mean, no one can deny that was a pretty historic and unprecedented election. But I want to talk about your business beforehand, because you had a pretty substantial business, didn't you? On Brown Street, correct, with your employment service, you had quite a few employees that were working underneath of you.
Yeah, we did. We were more of a permanent placement, permanent professional placement.
Okay.
We got into the staff log. I have a pretty good client base that unfortunately goes back 30 years. I'm getting old now. And during the, I think it was 2008 when the real estate market went poorly, that companies were not getting the steady business. So they were looking for, hey, we have an order. Can you get some guys in? So at one point, I think my best year, I had over 301 or 311 employees.
Wow.
And all the positions we had, except for grass cutting in the summer, I wouldn't take a position unless it was a temporary position that could go to a permanent position.
Well, and now just looking at, your back experience and all of that, how has that prepared you, for being a mayor? Because when you have 300 employees, I mean, that's a pretty substantial base. Did that prepare you pretty well for city business whenever you eventually became the mayor?
Yeah, I don't think it hurt because it's kind of having the opportunity to run a complex business with different employees doing different functions, which we handled. We had people doing everything from general warehouse work to running equipment in factories. So there were different positions, different types of people, different personalities. And it's similar to, not exactly because we didn't have police and fire, but you have public works, parks, police, fire, admin help. So yeah, it didn't feel like terribly unfamiliar territory when I took over.
So you run as the write-in, or you run in 2013.
I didn't run as a write-in. I got kicked off. I started as a candidate.
So how'd you get kicked off the ballot in 2013?
So I had a tenant behind me who were terrific people. I won't mention their names. Unfortunately, she did actually pass.
Oh.
Yeah, she was tremendous family rented from me behind my office building. And the reason I bought the building behind the office building when it was sold is because I wanted to make sure that my neighborhood was controlled. That's how I got in the real estate business, was trying to make sure I could control my neighborhoods, because there was a lot of landlords in our community that were bad actors. So that's what got me into the rental business.
Okay.
So evidently, while this lady was battling cancer, she had fallen behind in her sewer bill by, I think, 2 months. I had called the city and asked if I owed the city any money, and they said no. Come to find out, it looked like someone got a hold of their information that I wasn't privy to because it wasn't my bill, and it was released to the public. And before they even actually kicked me off the ballot, I believe she had caught her sewer bill up. Wow. So, and the thing that was most disturbing about that is whenever the office released that information, it included a lot of their personal, like account numbers and things like that, which I thought was terrible for those people. Yeah, it was awful.
Well, and see, did you think that's what ignited the flame that you, if none of that happened, would you have won head-to-head, do you think, in 2013 still? Do you feel like you had a good enough base, or did that fuel the fire for your supporters to get you over the finish line?
Yeah, I think I think it probably put me over. Had the incumbent mayor at the time probably ignored me, he had a much better chance. It definitely looked like dirty pool. They went after someone that didn't deserve to be gone after over, I can't remember at that time, $20, $30 in sewer bills. And it just looked like, honestly, it was a bad deal, and everybody has the right to vote. I mean, you're talking, First Amendment stuff. Everybody has a right to be heard. You have a right to free speech, and people have a right to vote. And it felt like your right to express yourself and your right to vote was eliminated over silly stuff.
Yeah, I mean, $30 is pretty...
Yeah, it was 2 months. I think it was about $30.
So, in going into election night 2013, do you know that night that things are looking good? Because you're a write-in, and obviously, I don't know how the numbers come in for write-ins, but do you know that night, hey, we're doing this. We're going to be the next mayor of Alton?
When it came in, I think it was like 56 votes, so it was so close. We didn't want to claim victory, because with that margin of error, there can actually be a recount, I believe, of 25% of the precincts. So we anticipated that was coming. So that night at Johnson's Corner, I remember going out in the back and sitting on someone's porch, and they came out, "What are you doing in my yard?" So we couldn't talk inside. So we were cautiously optimistic, but we knew we'd have to probably go through a recount. So cautious optimism at best.
So you win the mayor seat in 2013. What's day one look like for you when you finally get into office?
Day one was trying to assemble the team because you have, I believe, like approximately 14 direct reports that run the city. And I had some guys in mind, but trying to get the team set took several months, probably up to 6 months, to put a team together that could be effective and cohesive. So the biggest thing was getting ready to assemble a team to get to work.
Was that a process for you? Was there some difficulty in that?
Yeah, you have to make the right decisions. Sometimes you have to move different parts out that were there initially and replace those parts to try to get things moving in the vision that you have for the community.
And did you have because I'm not too familiar with the first term that you were in office, did you keep a lot of the same folks for your two terms?
Yeah, once the team was set, I would say honestly it took about 18 months to get everybody in place that I really wanted to get in place. Initially, to begin functioning, we were up and running within probably the first quarter, and we added pieces and components as we went along. And until you get the team set, unfortunately, some people work out, some don't, so there needs to be some replacements and fine-tuning.
Whenever you got in there, what was the major problem facing Alton at the time? Was there anything that was first on everyone's mind that needed to be addressed right away?
Well, when you first got into my initial situation was the budget. The city was running literally on fumes. They had a massive pension issue, which had been underfunded for as near as I can tell, all the way back to when Mayor Lenz was in office. It was underfunded. It was well into the $100 million+ problem. The state was not willing to work with it. They're like, too bad, figure it out. And we also had another unfunded mandate that was facing us down in 1993. The city was told that you had to start doing sewer separation, which means you have to remove your sewer from your storm. And we were under, I can't remember, it was a very short time frame from 93. The first portion of sewer separation was actually done was 2013 when we took office.
Wow.
So, and it was at that time about a $55 or $60 million project to separate our sewer. God knows what it would be after COVID now, the prices.
That's actually a pretty fair point. Well, and see, that's what I find, really interesting about this, because you had a lot to kind of...
Yeah, and we only had about we had less than $2 million in the rainy day fund or surplus. That was
really?
It. Yes.
Well, how do you get that train moving so quickly then? I mean, what do you attribute that to? Is it goes back to your team, I'm assuming, but you have to have things falling in place to it, and you have to execute those goals.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the key components is getting a public works director that was able to assemble the team, take some of the engineering work that was done in sewer separation, begin that, reassess our streets and start doing street projects. And then the other thing with a community like Alton, it's absolutely critical that you go after every single grant you can get.
And how do you do it? Because grants are not easy. It's almost like an art form, really, to keep obtaining these. How do you target those grants? Is it just casting a big net and you apply for as many as you can and you just hope that you land a few? Or do you go about it by targeting specific grants that really did hit all the boxes that you could pick up, right away? Yeah,
no, they have to be very targeted. If you cast a big net, you're going to miss. So you got to figure out what you're going to do. And I'll just go to the example. The city just mentioned, and I'm not sure how many grants they went for street. It may be only one. They went for that other phase of State Street. We had that in position before we left, and we also went after a grant on Milton. And you have to be very specific when you go for these grants to make sure they get graded, that you're in an opportunity. So that State Street grant, we moved and went after a Milton grant and received that, and we were coming back for State Street. So all they did was resubmit what we had already put in place to get that State Street, which is coming. But no, your grants have to be very specifically designed. There's parameters for them. There's gradings for them. So if you just do a shotgun approach, you can't. You need to be more of a sharpshooter to get them.
Well, it's interesting. And I want to talk about that in the second segment with just, some of the grants that you guys did obtain and some of the projects that were started in your second term. But, as we're wrapping up the first kind of couple of years in office, what are you most proud of in the 2013 to 2017 range?
The ability to put the team together and put us in a position to get in line for some of the things, not only that we accomplish, but get the community behind us. You saw all the park improvements were amazing. They were underway. All the grants we applied for started to drop. Infrastructure was improving. Working on some projects that sometimes take time. Just because you apply for a grant today, to give you an example, right now the Brown Street bridge that's being done, that was when we had applied for that, it was done, but it takes, sometimes these grants take years to drop. Sometimes it takes years to get grants for I think we were in the process of getting grants for police officer cameras, body cams. And we applied for those. I believe that came through. I don't know if they got it through a grant, but those are some things you have to start lining up for them to drop. Just because you apply for it today doesn't mean you get it tomorrow.
Right. Well, and when we come back, I want to talk about the second terminal, because you had major flooding. You had pretty much the Rolodex of
second term. We had a flood, I think, the second week we were in. We had 2 floods in 60 days.
Well, and I want to talk about that, and then we'll come back and talk current issues too.
Sure.
Wanted to get started just with your background a little bit in that first term in office. It's almost 10:30, 10:28, a little bit of change. It's almost 50 degrees out there. A quick break. More of this conversation next.
Have a rash, pink eye, or urinary tract infection and need care now? OSF On-Call Urgent Care is here to treat you. Start a virtual visit 24/7, whenever and wherever you need it. It's just that easy. osfoncall.org/virtual visit.
Has free checking become a thing of the past? Not if Liberty has anything to say about it. With 3 free personal checking options and even a free business checking account, Free is alive and well at Liberty Bank, the local bank that gives you free checking choices and more cashing in your pocket. Bank locally, bank Liberty. For more information, visit www.bankliberty.com.
I set the thermostat so my house would be warm when I got home from work, but the kitchen is still cool.
At Barrett Heating and Cooling, we stand behind every Linux system we sell.
My dealer said he'd take care of everything.
At Barrett Heating and Cooling, we understand everyone wants prompt, professional service.
Turns out it wasn't my furnace after all, just a little something blocking the vent.
Pretty smart dog if you ask me. For service you can count on, call Barrett Heating and Cooling.
Lennox, innovation never felt so good. Brant Walker knows how to get results for Alton because he's done it. As Mayor, Brant froze the property tax levy and balanced the budget. His economic development policy stimulated $116 million in private capital investment. Community policing and increased resources for public safety led to a decrease in crime. And under Brant Walker's leadership, Alton secured more than $10 million in extra grant funds for infrastructure and park improvements. Move Alton forward with Brant Walker.
Macias Insurance Agency, providing quality products with extremely competitive prices. As an independent provider, we source multiple companies to offer the best rates possible, covering auto, home, business, and life insurance. Our goal is to provide quality service that meets and exceeds customer expectations. You can rest easy knowing the Macias team is working round the clock to ensure that both you and the most important parts of your life are covered. Our qualified professionals make the insurance process easy so you can live carefree and focus on what matters most. Visit MaciasInsuranceAgency.com today to find out what our team can do for you.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
What they try to say, you were always there for me.
10:30 on the nose. Sugar Ray was at the amphitheater when you were mayor, weren't they?
Yeah, that was the Under the Sun concert, which I believe had Sugar Ray, Uncle Cracker. There were 4 bands at that time. It was a good concert.
You know, it just seemed, when you were in office, you know, the amphitheater had a lot. It just seemed like, what goes into the amphitheater from your perspective? Because you've been there, and we keep hearing this talk about, you know, is the amphitheater commission a good thing? Is it something we need to, make it private or make it kind of a one-person job or a private thing? What's your thought on the amphitheater commission and then the amphitheater as a whole?
Well, the amphitheater as a whole, when I came in the office, the only thing that came to mind is we had like $5, I think it was $5 Fridays or Thursdays, which were all, they were good. They were just, I think, cover bands of, famous, primarily old rock bands. Mm-hmm. We were looking to step it up because it was underutilized at that time. So we looked at how does that look? And again, we needed to get community support. We raised some funds. And I want to say in the 8 years we're there, we went from $5 Thursdays to National Acts again. We had a tremendously successful food truck festival. We were able to get the expo back. We were able to get a concession and restroom there. We got a splash pad through a lot of work, and again, this is all the team. If you don't have a good team, you're going to fail.
Right.
So the team, we were able to start getting all of the cruise liners that were in St. Louis were starting to come up here. We provided better service. They actually, I think it was the American Cruise Line, use this as their home base right now, which is providing more advertising. And we were starting to get hotel rooms out of the cruise lines.
Okay.
So we were taking advantage of the riverfront. Now we have which has been continuation. Mississippi River Festival's back. We got F1 racing, plus the expo, plus the splash pad, plus national acts, plus some local stuff. So you just it needs to keep being redefined. And we looked at the riverfront also as, perception. How do you change perception and traffic patterns? So if people come over and have a good time, like at the Under the Sun concert was our first big concert. And they had a good time. And I can't remember, there was thousands of people, or a couple thousand, I think. If they came down and they ate before and they enjoyed it, they'll come back. And then it becomes a perception. You just hear what's going on in Alton. Right. I mean, how about the next concert? Boy, Charlie Daniels, Leonard Skinner, gosh darn, I forgot the gentleman from St. Louis, the rapper.
Oh, Nelly.
Those concerts like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Kenny Rogers. Those bring people in from outside the community, brings in different revenue. It lets people get a good view of the city that normally won't come here. And hopefully a visit turns into another visit, and so on and so on. And it brings revenue in.
Well, and that's just something, I just listened to that song and just kind of spurred the thought of the amphitheater. And do you see it just becoming a sponsorship? I mean, is it just sponsorship dollars that make this go? Is there any way that the city could, put more funds into it? Because that seems to be, just having a few people on their thought is it's just a financial situation on being able to bring these acts in.
The sponsors definitely help depending on, what your budget is and your food and beverage and hotel motel tax and how you can use that to get folks down here. Mm-hmm. But yeah, sponsors were a huge, huge part of getting that started again.
Interesting. Well, and now going into your second term, 2017, you're sworn in back in as mayor. Mm-hmm. Did you feel pretty confident in that re-election bid that first time around that you were going to be okay?
Yeah, we had a lot of really good things going when we say $116 million in private capital investment. Well, people, what does that mean?
Right.
Well, that means a mall deal that we worked out with the whole group to get the mall back up to snuff, which included a roof, a parking lot, lighting, movie theaters, investment. Macy's went down. So we were able to get that. That was all Mr. Hull. He wanted a couple things from the city, which is a special business district tax we were able to do. We were in the process of getting the property prepared out by the train station, which ultimately wound up being in the whole Holiday Inn Express coming. There was a Freddy's deal, too, when I left. I don't know what happened to that. Things started to go good. Then Starbucks was coming, which included the Marshalls, the Ulta Beauty, and the Five Below were all tied with that development. You have to remember we had an 18-month gap. I don't call it a gap, a shutdown, which basically closed us down almost 50% of the last term.
Right.
And then in the meantime, things started going. We won Small Business Revolution. We were rated by AARP as top 10 in the nation. Forbes magazine ranked us. The Travel Channel picked us as one of the 50 top charming small cities to live in. So we had a ton of good press coming. We had a ton of investment. A lot of small businesses were opening on our Broadway corridor, which were great. And unfortunately, a lot of them seem to be leaving now. And then our Beltline, which is more of your national things, our Beltline was also filling up.
Well, and see, this is why I find your second term more fascinating than anything, because this isn't a patronizing thing or someone's going to go, oh, CJ's being biased. It's just you got hit with the whole administration. You had these monster floods.
10 floods.
You had COVID.
We had COVID.
You had unrest right across the river.
2 civil unrest when Mr. Brown was shot and killed.
Right.
We run... not joint service, but we have an agreement with Blackjack to work together. So we were actually part of that. And during the riots, when the fires were going on, our fire department was on standby and our K-9 units were on standby too. So it's mutual aid.
Well, and on top of it too, you had the Riverview Wall, went down too, and all these things. So
Riverview, we had Summit Street first.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Summit Street. We had to evacuate the marina, which had never been evacuated before,
right.
Which was a community effort. We had Summit Street fall off the bluff. We got that put back on. That was the 2015 flood. We had Riverview fall off in the 2019 flood, which is the second largest flood and the longest duration flood the city had ever had. And we had 2 civil unrests with Mr. Brown and Mr. Floyd. And then we had COVID, which shut us down.
Well, and see, my point of it is, though, at what in any of those 4 years, do you just look up and go, what the hell did we do to get that? I mean, how do you manage all that? Because it's not just, one of the same crisis. You're dealing with natural disasters and all of this going on at once. What did you guys do to kind of just hone in when it just seemed like it was, constantly something in the news cycle? Yeah, we were doing floods about every 10 months, and they weren't like normal floods. They were getting into the downtown area. So we had 5 top 10s and 3 top 5 floods. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you want to call it fortunately or unfortunately, after a couple of years, we got pretty good at flood fighting. And we came up with innovative ways with the diver that went down, to block off the water, because a lot of times you lose a flood from behind, not in front. Mm-hmm. We figured out how to address that. So we became pretty accustomed to and became business as usual for us to fight floods. Pandemic was a whole nother ball game. That one there was nothing on the books about what happened in 1917 when we had the Spanish flu, mm-hmm. which I think was our last big pandemic that we faced. That was potentially this magnitude. Federal government had it at first, where everything was shut down. Then they gave it to the state, so it was a mess, constantly changing. You had to watch your numbers. When the state took it over, it got a little wonky. Yeah, that's an understatement. I was trying to make sure that we don't get beat. But yeah, and then when they come in with things, and at first nobody knew what was going on as it played out. Some of the closures, they said, some of your smaller businesses had to be closed. Like they wanted Bose Hardware closed and St. Peter's closed, but Home Depot and Lowe's could stay open. It became a little bit convoluted in how it was going on, especially. And I'm not going to take Chicago, but if you got a Chicago area where you can kind of close that down, but when you're in a true bi-state area and one state's doing something else and another state's doing something, and then at one point the state said Grafton could be open, but Alton had to be closed. I'm like, people aren't going to drive up the River Road. And some of it got to the point where it just didn't, the farther it went on, some of it didn't seem to make sense like it did when it initially started. Well, and see, that's a really fascinating point. How did your leadership change, if it did, during that? Because your balance, that would have to drive you crazy when because your personal thoughts, are probably, going, what the hell, or what is X, Y, and Z, but then you have to still represent the legal body of the city and abide by the law. Yeah, absolutely. So initially, we didn't know what was going on. We even went out, we have a training center out at Public Works. And I think we went and put hot water heaters in because we weren't sure when this first started we were going to house healthy people there, like police and fire. Oh, gotcha. So first responders were in constant contact. There's nothing to get away. We had jails in the city. We got calls for service, police, fire. So we weren't sure. We made sure that our deputies, our police chief, deputy chiefs, all stayed separated. Our directors, deputy directors never were in together in case one got sick. We still had backup. So we were just trying to prepare where we're going to have the police stay in the police station and not go home, where we're going to separate fire. We had a conversation. If we have a healthy group, do we keep them there until somebody gets unhealthy? So there was a lot of going on. Now, next pandemic that comes up, we have a lot of things on the books that you can follow what we did if you wish to. But we were feeling our way through it. Well, and see, on top of that, you're dealing with all of this, and then like everybody else, you have to run for re-election, and you're running in the middle of COVID, and then you have all of this going on where, people looking back on it now from the national side are blaming a lot of the results of national elections on, COVID and just disgruntlement. Not saying that's what happened here, but what I'm saying is you have to still do all of this. How do you adapt to that from a virtual setting? Because you're somebody, you ran your campaign knocking doors. You talked about that earlier. And now here you are in COVID trying, to manage the city during the pandemic and then run for mayor. It was almost virtually impossible. Really, it was very, very difficult. There was you couldn't go out. You had to, your social distance. People weren't answering the door. There was a lot of frustration in the community. I just remember the excitement, how the city came together under Small Business Revolution. Mm-hmm. It was awesome. The whole city pulled together, and you can never count on Alton, whether it be a flood or to come together or a small business revolution. This community will come together quickly. And then during COVID, the frustration, the anger, how things had changed from small business revolution to,
dealing with people's rights. You're not supposed to leave your house. You have to do this. You have to social distance. There was a lot of frustration. And then the ability to be able to communicate effectively became much, much more difficult.
Well, and, as, that wraps up and the election plays out the way it was, that's what leads us into where we are now. We're here in this current state in the race. We're a couple of weeks away, less than. And, recently a mail piece came out that was talking about Sunnybrook, which was your second time in office. And I wanted to give you a chance to respond to it because, when that was a big point of issue in the 2021 election, it seemed like. What are your thoughts just on what you saw on that and just the thought that, this was, I guess your project is what they're stating.
Okay. Initially, when we came in, we had meetings with Mr. Hightower and Mr. Morrissey. It was presented in a fashion where there could be the opportunity for people to own those properties.
Okay.
So I'm going to liken it to like a zero lot line opportunities, kind of like, I'm going to say like you buy a condo at the Lake of the Ozarks.
Okay.
So it was going to be kind of like a rent-to-own situation. And at that point, I'm like, okay, if people can actually buy, because we can get into the whole rental situation in town, which brought us to crime-free housing, which will play into this. And then when we found out, they went quiet, and we actually had the FOIA IDA to find out what was going on because we didn't hear anything from the development group anymore. Come to find out that it was going to be primarily subsidized with some fair market. At that point, we pulled support from the city, and we didn't say no. What we said was, there are ordinances for development like this that have to go through plan commission, get special use because it's not zoned for it. The developer decided not to follow that set of rules and chose to fight this out in court.
So the initial idea, though, was there was going to be home ownership in this project.
At the end of the day, it was going to be people had the opportunity to own.
Interesting. And then so the rest just plays out in court following the repercussions of FOIA and finding out.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. So it leads into that next point, though, because, you're having these conversations now, you're hearing them in town about the Lovejoy development that was proposed just a few weeks ago, and there's other projects, too, that have been discussed as well. What is your thought and stance on anyone that's coming into town for a housing project right now? Is building these developments a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I know that you've been against rental or adding to the rental problem.
Yes.
But what are your thoughts on all of this? Is there a good way to do this, if any?
At some point, you have to take a look, and there's going to be these arguments had back and forth. So when you have a town that's over 50% rental, and we know it's 50% rental because we knew we had a rental problem, but nobody really knew. We came in and we licensed landlords, and we asked landlords, do you own this property or not? And if you own it, are you renting it or are you living there? Because we had a lot of folks saying it's primary residence. That really wasn't. Right. So we charged a license and then $20 per unit. So they finally went, okay, this is rental. So we found out through the $20 fees for each rental property that the town was over 50% rental.
Wow.
And so we knew how many units were here, and people fessed up and said this is rental. So we had a good idea of what direction we were going. So at some point, what's comfortable? Do you want a town that's 100% rental? Do you want it 60%? You got Sunnybrook coming in. We got Lucas Row coming in. They want another 70 units. So what's good? I think over half is not healthy, given the fact that when you get into a affordable or a subsidized housing unit, when you want to do economic development, the demographic will change where people don't have discretionary income. It becomes discretionary income. It becomes difficult to do economic development when your average per capita income in the house is under $40,000. Right. It's really hard to get people to come here. So my argument is, whether it's subsidized, whether it's fair market, or whatever it is, we probably need to manage the rental we have, and we have to push for home ownership if we're going to be a successful community.
Do you see? Because you asked the rhetorical, is 160? Is it
What's
too
a
much?
good number
For you? What is that good number? Because it doesn't seem like 50 is it for you either.
No, I don't know an exact number, but I don't think over half your town needs to be temporary residents, if that makes sense. You need people that are committed here, people that are vested here, people that have a a future or a definite mark investment in our community. And I don't believe over half your town being rental is healthy.
Well, and something that your campaign has been pretty prominent on and pushing is this idea of code enforcement. And I wanted to talk about that before we take the break, because I know this could be a little bit of a conversation.
There's a lot of dots to connect.
Yeah. So, you're saying that code enforcement is pretty much all but vanished, and then
yes.
Some of the other opponents in the race are saying, well, no, it was merged under a budget, and it's not technically. It's still somewhat there.
It is somewhat there, but I mean, it's probably got 3 flat tires and out of gas.
So, what are your thoughts? I mean, how can you bring back code enforcement?
It's still what they did was they unfunded it. So we had something that was called crime-free housing. Mm-hmm. It should have been called safe housing, some of the deplorable conditions we had. Mm-hmm. We brought a retired police officer in to manage. So what we did is, if you look at it, and this is when I got in the office, I started to look at what can we do differently. Well, given the housing stock in Alton and the economic development situation in Alton, how can economic development and housing be one department and function effectively? Well, it can't, and clearly it wasn't. So what you had to do is we took economic development, separated, and had economic development focus on economic development. And I think that's where you'll see a lot of it. We actually went out and got businesses. We started talking to folks. We reached out to them all. We had an outreach, and then you'll see that the $116 million coming in. We weren't sitting in the office waiting. We were getting it. Then you got to look at the other part of it. How's the housing stock? Well, it didn't take long to drive around and go, probably could use some help too. So we separated that. And we identified that 70% or more of all the crime in Alton happened in or around rental property.
Really?
So yes.
Wow.
So we realized we had a problem there. So we were proactive in putting police officers there, which I thought was a benefit. You want to talk about positive touches. If you have a police officer, a retired officer, and the ability to have an officer to go out and help someone in their home every day, if there's a situation with a landlord or a situation with a code or a crime, what better way to help our community than having a day-to-day contact with police? So we separated it. It took years to get crime-free housing in. It was becoming very, very effective. Mr. Cramner and Vince Warlick. Mr. Cramner now runs the crime-free housing in East Alton right now. And Vince Warlick was a retired officer. They both got it implemented for us. There was training programs. It's a wonderful program. First budget in, mayor says it's too heavy-handed. Council said, we agree with you, and took it right out. Phased it out. Now, it's still there. It just needs to be refunded. And actually, it doesn't need to be refunded. We figured out what it would cost. It was budget neutral with $100 per unit or per license and $20 per unit paid for the director and paid for another inspector and also to allow a police officer there. So I don't know what they did with that money, but before we did that, and it took years to get it going, we made sure it was budget neutral, that it paid for itself to get that enforcement up. So it's already there. We just got to put it back in play.
So, take me through what you've been able to do in that first couple of terms, because we talked about the first 2 terms in the first segment and the last segment, but what were you able to do with code enforcement? Take me through how some of the results of going in and holding these landlords accountable as you're calling it.
Yeah, no, they had to be held accountable. So, for example, people get the wrong impression that, like, if we shut somebody down, they get kicked out. We shut them down.
Right.
So we had some bad actors that had multiple properties, 30, 40, some developments that, that were not up to code. But what you do is you don't throw anybody out of the house. You make the landlord accountable for fixing what is there. Mm-hmm. In the meantime, if somebody moves out of a home of their own free will, they can't re-rent that property till we fix this. Then we go in to make sure this property is up. Because honestly, nobody needs to live in an unsafe, unclean environment. And that's the biggest focus of crime-free housing for us. We went into some deplorable conditions, and these landlords were never held to the fire. Wow. So any bad business owner in town, if they don't do the right thing, loses their right, or they're not so right, it's a privilege to do business. Mm-hmm. They lose that privilege if they can't be a good business owner in our community. Bars get shut down, businesses get shut down. We just approach landlords because it is a business. They want to act like it's not, but it's a business.
Yep.
And if you do bad business in town, you can't be here anymore.
It makes sense.
But we don't hurt the citizen. We make sure the landlord is screening, make sure the landlord is making sure people live in a great environment that is safe for the family and is clean for the family. And also crime-free housing also protects our property values, which is good for homeowners. Because if you're living next to something that's not ideal, it brings you down. So it balances out. It's good for tenants, it's good for homeowners, and it's good way for reduction in crime.
Let's talk on the flip side of that, where you have, and maybe just to touch on it more, the landlord that is just running out to these people, not doing background checks. They're bringing in people that are causing major problems, and they become these pop-up, drug houses in many circumstances.
Sure. One of the reasons I ran the first time, my office building was Highland and Brown. There was a building across the street from me, and I called and called and called, and it was drug dealer after drug dealer. And finally, I forgot who it was. I called. It was one of the attorneys, and they said, "Oh, we got it fixed. We're going to do a knock and talk." And that sounded really important to me. I'm like, well, good, because there's been a bunch of issues over there, and I got employees coming in, getting payroll, and I've got several employees that are housed here, and it's not feeling real safe now.
Right.
House was empty, and again, within 90 days, another drug dealer went in and was shot and killed in that same house. Wow. So I'm like, you can't do that. You should be held responsible to a degree. Now, you can't control what people do all the time.
Right.
So everybody's going to, which crime-free housing has the ability to help. If you get a bad egg in there, we'll assist with you every way we can to make sure that person is eliminated, because we don't want problems in our city.
Well, my follow-up then would be, if this landlord, let's just say, has a bad string of things, it's like, watching me gamble, you just keep losing. You're picking bad tenant after bad tenant. Is there an entry point to say, listen, it's just time to pull your landlord license because your properties are causing too many problems?
There is an opportunity. We had a hearing officer in place that if we decided to pull the license, the hearing officer could have agreed or disagreed with us. And if the hearing officer in the city agreed with us, then they could also have sought refuge at a county level as well. So there are backstops there that they can follow. But yeah, eventually you've got to, and we would assist with, I believe we had it set up that you could actually do background checks in our office at building and zoning. So there is no reason at no charge that you cannot start screening your tenants more.
I didn't know that.
There was. I don't know if it's still there, but we had the ability for you to do a screening.
Well, and let's finish up on this by talking home ownership, because I know that's a big point. You were talking. I've seen the home ownership program, the home program that you've been discussing. But I wanted to ask you on the flip side of that, for the older adults that are maybe 60 years old and 65, 70, they're retired on a fixed income, they've lived in Alton and paid their bills their entire life. Do you see that program evolving into something to where if, grandma's HVAC system goes out or her roof caves in and she can't cover the deductible on the insurance, can that grant ever be evolved to help that senior citizen or that homeowner maintain their property so it doesn't add to the housing inventory issue?
I don't know how to answer that exactly. I know the home program we used it primarily are actually to help people obtain new home ownership through down payments and through closing costs. And I think we helped 189 people over 8 years actually realize the dream of owning a home in Alton.
Right.
I wish there was a program to help people, and I think there should be a program for people that are on fixed incomes, because right now, the costs, I lost a roof last year, was almost $25,000.
Well, because you do own property, and that's kind of the tie-in there, is just the way that costs are rising.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
I'm on another note, I just went and one of the guys that worked for me needed help caulking his tub. I said, I'll pick it up. I got one tube of silicone caulk was $12.
Wow.
It seems nuts. It
really is.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, and that's what I wanted to talk about too, just because of that senior citizen side. But on the flip side, can you reinforce, is there a way that you see to add to that home ownership program to keep enticing more young homeowners?
If there is anyone out there that can help us do anything to incentivize people to stay in their home that own them, that can help people figure out, because there are communities I've heard that actually do help homeowners with things.
Yeah.
I would be highly interested in finding out what that was and implementing it for our community.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Well, let's take our final break here, and we'll come back. We'll talk for another 20 minutes or so, and we'll wrap up this coverage. Hey, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back with the former mayor and candidate for Mayor of Alton, Brant Walker, right after this on RiverBender.com.
Get access to care for anyone, anywhere, at any time. No appointments, no waiting rooms, no traveling. OSF on call.
Village Dispensary has the best deals in Godfrey, Illinois with specials 5 days a week. Mondays roll in the week with 20 to 30% off select pre-rolls. Tasty Tuesdays, enjoy 20 to 30% off select edibles. Waxy Wednesdays, enjoy 20 to 30% off select concentrate and vape brands. Thirsty Thursdays, sip and save with 20 to 30% off all drinks. Flower Friday, grab select 3.5 gram flower deals starting at just $20. Village Dispensary, come meet your best buds.
Picture This and More has been a trusted name in the Alton community for more than 30 years, with the last 3 being right here on Broadway. We specialize in quality framing at affordable prices. We also feature works by local artists because we're proud of our community. If you have valued treasures to display and preserve, we're sure to have the perfect fit with our large selection of custom framing and display options. Whatever color, shape, or size, Picture This and More has the look you need. Stop by today and let us help you with your next project.
Looking for the best barbecue in Madison County? Head over to Carver's Barbecue in Godfrey, Illinois. From loaded barbecue nachos to mouth-watering pulled pork, brisket, ribs, and more, Carver's serves up award-winning flavors you'll love. Family-owned, Carver's is all about fresh, made in-house dishes served daily. Come visit us at 2716 Groveland in Godfrey, or give us a call at 618-467-9999. Order online, get it catered, or stop by for the best smoked meats around. Where great flavors meet family tradition, you'll find Carver's Barbecue.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
It's 11 o'clock. You're watching Our Daily Show on Roku TV, RiverBender.com. Thanks for hanging out with us. State of the Race coverage on this Friday morning continues with the former mayor and candidate for mayor again, Brant Walker. You know, going right back into what's going on right now, and it seems like there's been a big conversation about taxes and pretty much all municipal elections and consolidated ones across multiple categories. What are your thoughts just on the property tax rates right now in the city? I know that you've been pretty active and vocal about saying taxes have gone, property tax has gone up. What are your thoughts? Well, and just what are your thoughts on that? And if you could explain to the audience your reasoning behind what's going on here.
Well, I don't know why they would be raising taxes right now. They claim they're flush with cash, so why are they raising taxes? So basically, in 2 of the last 4 years, they raised taxes. I ran the numbers on the last tax rate, and they raised it almost, first of all, taxes overall went up about 10% across the board. The city raised their portion of the tax levy 1%. Mm-hmm. Doesn't sound like a lot, but if you look at it, it took almost $400,000, just the city's portion alone, out of our community that people are paying in taxes. And if you think that don't impact, it does. Right. If you think your landlord's not going to raise your rent, you're probably wrong. If you think you're a business owner and part of that $400,000 approximately they took out of our income in our community, that's just the city's portion. That can prevent a business owner from purchasing something to grow his business. It can prevent him from hiring somebody. My last 4 years we were in office, we froze the city's portion of the property tax. Wow. They've raised it twice in the last 4 years, and I don't know why. Well, especially getting $21 million in ARPA funds.
Well, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about, too, because, it has been stated that when you left office, there was a deficit and there was some financial issues, and I want to give you a chance to respond to that because it's only fair for you to be able to do so.
Yeah. The mayor and the Alderman Strable that are running against the mayor going said we left the city in terrible financial shape. Well, when I took office, the city was broke. We had about $1.8 million in the surplus or rainy day fund. I left office and had $5.8 million in the rainy day fund. And then they said, well, you left a $3 million deficit. So there are two things. We'll do the deficit first. Well, $3 million was a guess. We were coming out of COVID. It could have been $8 million. It could have been $3 million. I mean, you pick it. How do you know what your budget's going to be after your economy's been closed? It could have been a $5 million surplus. We don't know. Best guess, I figure we're going to be between $1 and $3 million short, and that didn't include the rainy day. We could cover it with the rainy day fund, but I would never dip into the rainy day fund because that's only for emergencies like floods, natural disasters. When we were in office, we always tried to use the money that came in and not dip into that. So that's kind of a made-up budget or a made-up deficit. The 7.3, 4, whatever you said they have now, well, you got left with 5.8. So my understanding is, what did council do with that money to only go from almost $6 million to $7 million when you get $21 million in ARPA funding that you could use for income replacement? When during COVID, we got $1 million in ARPA funding, and we could not use it for income replacement. We had to use it for sanitizers, cleaning, masks, and we were getting killed and no cash coming because we were shut down.
Right.
So to only go from $6 million to $7 million, I think it's a big accomplishment when you get $21 million and a full open economy.
Well, and that's what I just was glad to kind of have you air that out, because multiple people have been asking about this and saying, where was the budget and what is the response to it. And the other thing I wanted to ask you, and this is one of the more I guess hot button issues for some of the opponents that are making claims, is this. I want to talk about the water treatment sale, because a lot of people keep bringing this up, and this is somewhat of a take or a topic to talk about.
Sure.
What led to this sale of the treatment plant?
Well, there were two things when you came in. And I think we touched on it earlier. So you have a massive pension issue, which was in the it was over 100 something million or more, 100, I can't remember, it was over 100 million.
Right.
So they did an amortization schedule. So at a certain point in time, when you amortize something, there's a line that's crossed where you just don't have the money to make the payments and make payroll. Two, we came in the office, I believe the sewer rates were, I can't remember, they were like under $20 a month, roughly right around $20 a month. The sewer treatment plant was falling apart. We're under the gun to do this project, and I want to say in the sewer fund to start actually doing sewer separation, there was $3 million, and you need $60 million. So there were several things you could do. You could either massively raise taxes, which I wasn't going to do, try to float a bond issue, which would have failed. No one's going to vote that. Or the only thing you can do when you only have, I'm just going to ballpark numbers. Someone's going to say, oh, he's lying about the numbers. There's about 11,000 hookups. So you would have to take 11,000 hookups, which means that goes to the treatment plant, because we can't bill Edwardsville. We can't bill Quincy for our $60 million problem. We can only bill the people we service. So do the math on 11 or 12,000 hookups by $60 million. What would your sewer bill be?
Not low.
Because it would not be low, and they didn't raise it up enough to cover that. So you've got these two massive problems coming. So you've got a sewer separation, which is an unfunded mandate from the federal government, no money coming in that you have to do, notified in 93, and I think we had about another 10 years to finish it. So we had a 10-year program to finish from the feds. First part of it was done in 2013 on our administration. When I came in the office, the negotiations were already underway to sell to Illinois American Water. And yeah, our sewer bills went up, but the idea goes with Illinois American Water, they could spread the cost out amongst everybody they service. We couldn't.
Right.
So ideally, it lowers our cost. If something else happens, we take some of that cost. So it lowers our costs on sewer separation. And then Alderman Strable said, well, the reason they had $5.8 million was with sewer treatment. No, 100% of the sewer treatment sales, when I came in, I think there were about 9 million or 10 million. I'm like, no. I said, if this doesn't fix the problem, we ain't selling. We got it up over a 2-year period up to $54 million. Every single penny of the sale went into the police and fire pension funds, which brought us down to a level payment of $8 million, which is still not great. It's 4 for police, 4 for fire, but we were able to keep our head above water.
Wow.
If we had not been able to do that, the city would have been sunk. So no, the city, every single penny from the sewer treatment went into the pensions. It helped alleviate our pension issue, and I know our sewer bills have went up, but they went up a lot less.
Well, and it's great to have that explanation too, just for the folks that maybe never heard the full side of your story on this. And the other thing,
and then also when we transferred it, The location stayed. Nobody lost jobs. Even the guys were able to keep their same union, worked it out. So they were able to keep their same union representation, same numbers, and they had influx of cash to begin to fix the treatment plant and have the resources necessary to meet the unfunded federal mandate.
Well, and that leads me into, because we have a couple of minutes left, and it's good for folks to know that too, that no one did lose their jobs. It was going right back into.
They even kept the same union.
That's really important to know. This last time around, this current administration faced their share of natural disasters with the sinkhole at Gordon Moore Park.
Oh my God!
And obviously the turf fields and all of that were, under you guys had just put those in. So
I was heartbroken.
I was going to ask
I think I cried.
Yeah, when you look at that and all this happens, but my thought and question for you is, how do you rebound after a massive sinkhole, and then where do you go from here in terms of trying to rebuild some type of massive infrastructure that Gordon Moore was for park and recreation programs?
A huge economic driver too. Yeah. Not only was it an asset for our kids, allowing them to have the opportunity to play on fields that other communities have that we didn't. I don't know how you answer how you rebound. I know you don't rebound by having a private meeting and turning the whole narrative over to the people that caused the collapse. That's not one way you don't handle it. Two, I don't know where they are. There doesn't seem to be a lot of information coming out. Three, I hope the mine will be held accountable for everybody that was financially hurt out there. They should be, and they should be responsible for the rebuild and putting it back the way they found it.
Yeah. Well, and on top of that too, it leads me into parks. You guys were pretty active in your parks, and
yes.
you built the turf fields and the splash pads. There were some things going on.
Splash pad, and we touched every park. I mean, just which park would you like to talk about?
That's what I was going to ask you. Is take me through some of your favorite park projects, and kind of what led that.
Riverview Park was because it's close to my house, so I can walk to it. But Riverview Park, and I give I don't think we had a choice with Mrs. Cowsley, who's Mary Lou, who's since passed. If I didn't do something in that park, I would have probably been run out of town. But we were able to do a lot of work up there. We redid the bandstand, which was collapsing. Besides fixing Riverview and Summit Street, which feed into the park, we were able to fix the bathrooms, ADA compliant. We got the water out of the sunken garden, which just turned into a moat. We did new sidewalks, new fencing, new lighting. We basically went through the wall that was collapsing. We put a new wall up there. We handled a lot of issues there with regards to water, and just overall needed a general cleanup. I'm thinking Rock Springs Park. We got the fountain working. We worked the school district on a cleanup. We were able to get the tennis courts back up and running. I think there's pickleball and maybe some soccer program out there now. We were able to put in a ball diamond up there so neighborhood kids could go play ball up there again. I'm trying to think. We did a few things there. Salou Park, we put in new pavilion, new playground. We resurfaced the basketball courts, which haven't been done, I think, since the 80s maybe or 90s.
Wow.
New hoops, new backboards, new sidewalks, flagpole. Lighting. We went through that whole park as well too. Gosh, I'm thinking. I don't know.
Well, and that leads me into what can you do with this?
Lucy's Playhouse.
Oh,
we went through and redid Lucy's Playhouse.
Wow.
There, so that was being done, and we were in conversations to start working on Haskell House. The roof was leaking. We were addressing that, and we were in the beginning talks of possibly a children's museum there when I left office.
Interesting. Well, and it leads me into my final big topic for you, and because we have a couple of minutes left, parks, neighborhoods, and all of that grow on safety. If people can feel safe to let their kids go walk to the park and play in a Rock Springs or a Haskell Park, how do you get back to that point to where, you can truly feel safe? Because everyone I've talked to running for alderman, no matter what ward, crime and infrastructure are the top two issues. How do you get back to that?
Well, one, we got to get a good public works director back in office that knows what he's doing, knows how to get it done. Because the same group of guys we had that were getting stuff done, most of them, I think all of them are still there. I don't know what the fall off has been. I don't know if it's lack of direction, lack of leadership. I'm going to say it's lack of leadership in that department. We definitely have to do something. I know we had a record number of calls for service in the fire department, and I believe we shot up almost 6,000 or 7,000 calls for service in the police department. That's got to stop. Because as calls for service, I've said, as calls for service and crime go up, property values go down. Property values go down, people don't want to live here. People do need to feel safe. And we've had an influx of things that we need to deal with. I think code enforcement's going to be one of them, getting police back in building and zoning, and starting to deal with some of the stuff. I mean, homelessness is a problem in our community, and the way we're dealing with it right now is a fail.
And how would you address
personally?
Yeah.
Oh, just in my house alone, personally, I had to call the police or somebody in my backyard 2 weeks ago, shopping in my backyard.
Oh.
So
shopping's a good term for it.
I was going to say shopping, yes. It's not a consignment shop. I like to keep my stuff. So I did call the police, but we have to deal with the homelessness in our community. And everybody wants to blame the city, or the city's the bad guy because, you can't put homelessness, and let's call it what it is. It's substance abuse, it's mental health issues, and it's people for whatever reason just want to be homeless. I don't know why that is, but there's three big categories. And a municipality in no way, shape, or form is geared to deal with the homelessness situation and the amount of influx of homeless we've had.
Right.
We can't deal with it. If it's going to be done properly, it's going to take bigger resources than the city, probably than the state, and maybe the Fed. So you're going to have to get resources from the federal government, the state government, and the municipality trying to help to reach out to get those resources. Because what we're doing right now is a failure.
Well, and it leads me into that final thought. I mean, here we are after this hour. What's your final pitch to voters? You're the last candidate for Alton that's coming on to discuss their campaign, for mayor anyway. Stephanie Elliott's Monday. But what's your final thought? What's that final message?
Well, the final message is if you don't like what's happening, we have an administration right now that's been responsible for the last 4 years. We had a lot of good things going on in the community. We were ranked nationally. We had a lot of businesses opening. Our parks were better. Even just something as simple as the first time in 30 years, every single fountain in our city was working. So we were very diligent about infrastructure, repairing our parks for our kids. We were very proactive in making sure we did everything we could to reduce crime, whether it be crime-free housing, or we were the first community in the whole Metro East to put license plate readers on the bridge.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
So you've always got to look at ways to be proactive, not reactive. If it's crime-free housing, if it's LPRs on the bridge, we led the way. Now every other community has those LPRs on their bridge. So what I'm asking for you today is to get things back in order. Let's get economic development, which is all but vanished in our community. I need your vote. And what we need is a voter turnout. You can't have 17,000 registered voters and 3,000 something people show up to vote. We need a big turnout to turn around.
Brant Walker, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, CJ. I appreciate it.
We're out of time. We'll see you back here on Monday for another great edition of our Daily Show. You have a great weekend. Most importantly, just try your best to stay out of jail.